4, 3, 2, 1, and we're live. Hello and welcome to another episode of Low Tech Health. We're continuing our hustling week, nosing to the grindstoning on Wasabi, Walnut, What's Hurting My Tummy Wednesday. I saw a big stomach last night, a big one, and I can tell you what was hurting it. It's a little thing called an ileal conduit. Unfortunately, the hospital had run out of ileal conduit bags, so a fecal incontinence bag was attached to this man's right lower quadrant. And man, was it red. So, for those of us who do not know, what an ileal conduit is it comes through, actually I gotta fucking put this together myself. So the ileum is part of the small intestine, and you're using a conduit to connect from the ureter into the ileum. I'm scratching my head. Let me pin this shit down real quick. Yeah, creates using the small intestine after removing the bladder. Takes a short segment of the small intestine, places it at an opening he has made, the surgeon. It can be a female. She could have made it as well. On the surface of the abdomen to create a mouth, or stoma. It didn't talk to me, though, so I wouldn't really call it a mouth, but it was definitely a gape. So this guy's got extensive history of prostate cancer, has been removed, bladder cancer has also been removed, so the ileal conduit was already in the order of things. But what they didn't count on was his stent, his ureteral stent, which is just a little straw to add patency. What?
How many eggs?
3 eggs, please. He was already heading towards it. Didn't have a bladder. Needed a little ways to get his urine out of himself. But unfortunately, this ureteral stent became infected. Not just with any old infection, but pseudomonas, aeruginosa, and candida albicans. One is a bacteria that is, I believe, gram-negative, and pseudomonas aeruginosa is a very wicked blue-green bacteria. And I say that because when you're 2 colors, you're a pretty badass bacteria. Candida is what most people know as thrush. Covers your tongue, just white fungus. Yeah. And that's growing inside his body. He is so septic that giving him antibiotics through his vein is not enough. A nephrostomy tube was placed in his left side, so he's got a tube going straight into his kidney, irrigating with a medication called amphotericin B, which is an antifungal, very, very strong stuff. I'll tell you, the hustle was played on a Egyptian native speaker, my old hospital, from amphotericin B. I'll tell you what happened in just a second. So it's flooding through his kidneys, going through his ileal conduit at a set rate. Wild looking thing, because if this amphotericin B sterile water for irrigation were to go into his vein, he could die very easily. And he's not the most healthy at the time. Not able to talk to me. In fact, he's barely protecting his airway to the point where I had to suction a little so satisfying mucus plug out of his neck. It was like a little flappy flounder of a freaky fish, and just 3 a.m. the witching hour. He was and the only thing you can really do for somebody who's able to cough, you can't Heimlich him because he's passing air. You just cheerlead. You go, cough better. You're doing great. Good job. Keep coughing. Yeah. It worked with a little help from Yonker suction and deep suction. I had to go a little bit. I had to give him a little bit extra suction cheerleading. And man, getting that out, woo! It's a life ender, those fucking mucus plugs. And I showed him how good he did, and he was happy, I think. He was kind of done with me. I made him watch Mr. Rogers. I made him watch La La Land. He seemed entertained, but I wanted him to sleep. I didn't know it wouldn't relax him. Whatever. Anyways, the other story about amphotericin B. I'm an Egyptian native speaker. Didn't understand the healthcare system of America. Most of us really don't understand it either. We're piecing it together. You decide what you'd like to buy, and by the time you decide, it might be too late. But it's your decision because you are a capitalist. High five. Anyways, this guy gets amphotericin B. First time to treat his histoplasmosis. He's got a brain abscess that's infected with histoplasmosis, another fungal infection that's found in bird shit. Fucking scary stuff, and it's in his brain. So he's got to be on amphotericin B for what he's told is a year. So he's planning to go to a nurse facility. He's got to pick. He's going to go through a year of antibiotic or antifungal coverage. The first couple doses, he becomes edematous. He's swelling in his lower extremities. And worst part, reptilian skin appears. Like it's legitimate reptile scales on his lower legs. And this is not, English is not his first language. He needs some answers. We don't know why that happened, but I'm coming on as a new nerd, like 4 or 5 months, saying, you need the Ampho B? You do. It's this abscess will get worse. And he just looks down. We solved the swelling with Lasix. Of course, they love diuresis and everybody turned him into little shriveled water balloons. But he looks down at his legs and he looks at me and says, "What about my legs?" And I didn't have an answer. I began to rehearse the script that I give to a lot of patients when things go wrong. It's called iatrogenic problems. Otherwise, we did it. Sorry. Shit happens. It's called a practice for a reason. And if that doesn't upset your stomach, considering it's deemed a business model, as it is also a scientific practice using variables that are weighed during using the scientific method, best practice versus giving the customer what they want. If that doesn't upset your stomach on Wasabi Walnut, What's Hurting My Tummy Wednesday, well, put your nose back to the grindstone because we're going to fix this. Thank you all for listening. I'll see you on Give My Mouth Friday when we wrap this hustling week up. Love you guys.